We know you like talking Star Wars. We like talking Star Wars. So that's exactly what we're going to do. This is The Wars and More.
You know, with the plethora of Star Wars content that's heading our way, there's really 6 words I'm really kind of getting tired of saying, and that's, it's a slow news week. This is The Wars and More. I'm Joe, and of course with me is my good buddy Doug. Hey Doug, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty good, Joe. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. This is crazy.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there is more Star Wars on the horizon than we've ever had at once.
Yeah, well,
right?
I think the Lucasfilm lockdown is in full swing here. You know, any information that is coming out is carefully, strategically leaked.
Yeah, to say the least.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I can't believe that you can't give any real details on anything, you know?
Well,
I mean, of course we're getting Celebration news, we're getting Galaxy's Edge news. Mark Hamill's as colorful as always.
Yeah, of course. I think that's probably the highlight of the week, but you know, this Galaxy's Edge stuff and the Celebration stuff, I think it's going to be that kind of stuff up until Celebration hits. And once Celebration hits, I think we're going to be bombarded with, you know, a lot to cover.
Yeah, well, we're just over 30 days now from that. So, yeah, that's definitely ramping up, and it's about time on that.
Right.
I mean, I don't remember things ever being this secretive, you know?
Well,
I mean, I remember stuff being secretive, but
yeah, this is something that, you know, as far as like episode 9 goes, JJ is pretty good at.
Well, episode 9 is not even the focus of my statement there.
Okay.
You know, because even before that, we've got The Mandalorian. We've got Clone Wars coming back. You know, we've got all kinds of stuff coming.
Well, you know, I would have to assume that Dave Filoni's got a major hand here in the Clone Wars, like, gag, you know.
Right.
This is something, you know, that Lucasfilm as a whole is really good at. So I'm not surprised, but, you know, so I do know what you're saying. They would let a little something out. Just to, yeah, the natives are getting restless here, that's for sure. as far as the fan base goes. So, you know, we are clamoring for something. Just give us anything. You know, in past weeks we've talked about title and, you know, trailers releasing, and, you know, none of it's coming to pass. So
yeah, we've done giving up on that, I think.
yeah, exactly. So it's, you know, it's obvious that you know, the fan base is clamoring for some new news of some sort. And I think they are just holding fast with you know, you'll get something at Celebration, and I think we're just going to have to wait till then to get anything. So,
yeah, I guess the thing that's just driving me nuts the most is the title. You know, and it's because, like, last Celebration, you know, we had a title, you know, well beforehand. You're talking about merchandise and things like that.
Right.
And I can't believe that they're not going to have. I guess I shouldn't say that. You know, I guess Solo, what they give you a trailer 5 months before the movie comes out.
Right. I got a feeling at Celebration, you're going to get title reveal in a trailer, and you'll be able to walk out of there and up to the Celebration shop there and buy an Episode 9 title T-shirt.
Yeah, which is absolutely insane to me that if that stuff's in production.
Oh yeah, that there's no leaks of some sort. Yeah,
I mean, come on, like that is where leaks come from, is the people making it. You know,
you
like,
would think for sure.
You know, the people boxing up all these shirts and whatever else.
When it comes to this kind of stuff, though, there could be contractual things where who knows, I mean, there could be certain bonuses or if this title doesn't get out from your shop making these T-shirts, you'll get a bonus kind of thing. Who knows? I don't know, but I could see something like that being in play.
Yeah, I just, because I think about, before the Super Bowl this year, for example, they like the week before the Super Bowl, they accidentally ran a commercial that the Patriots won the Super Bowl.
Right.
So it's like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, where's that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. We know how that goes, right? Because, whenever those games finish up, they always got the hats on that, they're the champions, but just in case the other side, they had theirs too, hat and T-shirts or whatever. So yeah, I'm sure somewhere there's a warehouse full of all this stuff that if only someone could get in there,
I mean, you just start to wonder if like Disney owns the internet. Like,
oh, you wonder about that still?
So, anyway, Mark Hamill. He's always good for something.
Oh, yeah. Good for something. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Something to talk about.
Absolutely.
I didn't mean like he's like good for nothing. So, yeah, he's stirring the pot again. Maybe not meaning to.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that this is necessarily intentional. I get the impression that this is he finally feels like he can speak his mind a little bit now. That's what I'm thinking.
All right, so I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here. So this interview was with Den of Geek, right?
Correct.
All right, so let's go over some of the comments that Mark made.
Sure.
And we'll have a lot to talk about, I'm sure. So first up is, the thing is, Luke changed so much between the first trilogy and the last trilogy. I got myself into trouble. I made a vow. I said I'm not going to talk about the movies anymore because I think it's important for the audience to see them. My problem was I wasn't dealing with social media back then, where you say something and it goes around the world in 24 hours. If I were to answer your questions on paper, I'd think, oh, that sounds a little strong, or I shouldn't say this, but I have a tendency just to talk and talk and talk, and you can cherry pick. I'll be reading something and say, what moron said this? And then realize, oh, it's me. They can take selective comments you've made out of context and use it to support their argument. And it says like, see, Mark hated Star Wars. Did I? So this comment here, I think, is important for the way everybody took the comments that he made after that. So there is a little bit of internet manipulation going on,
sure.
I think.
Yep.
As to that the following comments after that mean that he hated The Last Jedi.
Right. And I think that's exactly what he's getting at, is he had some issues. He took some issue with the character of Luke Skywalker. Okay. And the internet, we'll just call it, took it to the far extreme. Oh, he hated it. Well, that isn't necessarily the full truth, but there were things that bothered Hamill about Luke Skywalker.
Right. And yeah, I mean, because I don't get that he hated his character here. I don't really get that, because he'll say something and then he kind of walks it back a little bit, you know, and then like everybody's just grabbing that first thing and running with it.
Right.
And I think that's important. Like, we're not going to do that. We're not going to say, oh, he said this, so this means that. No, but I think he's airing some, what I see as legitimate complaints, especially the big complaint he had. And I think this is the big complaint a lot of us have. And I'll go on, I'll do this, the first part of this second part here.
Yeah.
Not really second half. So he says, I just thought Luke's never going to see his best friend again. You look at it in a self-centered way. I said that it was a big mistake, that those three people would never reunite in any way. I guess I was wrong, because nobody seems to care. I have to stipulate that I care, but it didn't really seem to affect the larger audience. Luke, Han, and Leia will never be together again, and I'll probably never get to work with Harrison again. So, I gotta say, Mark, you're wrong. We care.
Yeah, exactly.
We do care. And that is a big thing for a lot of us. We really wanted to see the trio reunited.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was something that, and this goes back to JJ, right? I mean, Force Awakens. That's one thing that I think a lot of fans thought was a mistake. But, you know, depending on where we go, you know, maybe a forgivable mistake. So that was, you know, you're talking kind of the feeling after everyone saw episode 7. So I don't know. I think he was going into this project expecting to get that, you know, getting the band back together thing, and it didn't happen. So that was a disappointment for him on a personal level.
Yes. And you think of the investment he had with the other two.
Right.
You know, he really invested a lot of his life into that, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, if there's any one character he played that people identified him with, it was Luke Skywalker. So,
right. And with that comes Han Solo and Leia.
Exactly.
So, yeah, we see his concern here, and we understand it, because it was our concern as well. And it really kind of got compounded in The Last Jedi, because he didn't actually reunite with Leia.
Right, exactly. That's one thing, you know, and we've talked about this even recently, past couple weeks. That's one thing that a lot of people have a hang up with, is that he wasn't actually there. So it wasn't, in a lot of people's minds, it wasn't real, you know. Now, for a lot of us who really like to dig deep down, take a deep dive into the Force kind of thing, you know, he was there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, at least
mind,
for Luke and Leia, you're talking two Force users.
Yeah, in mind, he was there, not in body, right?
Right. I mean, you're talking two, like I said, Force users. They felt each other's presence.
Yes.
To them, they might as well have been standing side by side.
Right.
Every bit of that for those two characters was real.
Yes.
You know,
I agree.
And that's where the Luke and Leia thing, we can get some closure there.
Yeah.
But I mean, he didn't have that with Han.
No,
And
not at all.
he can't have that with Han.
In fact, I would still say, you know, we could have used a little something more from the character of Luke in episode 8 beyond the where's Han. You know,
Yeah, I'd almost like to actually see his reaction to the news.
yes.
You know, how does that news affect Luke?
Right.
Like, okay, yeah, we got some facial expressions from what would have been the off-screen conversation, right?
Right.
But
In my mind, news like that should have been enough to break him from his Force exile. You know,
yeah,
that right there, hearing that news, in my mind, again, I didn't make the movie, would have been enough for him to open back up to the Force, kind of touch base with Leia, you know, and just reach out and get a feel for what Leia's feeling at that point. You know, that could be, I don't know.
I mean, I just think of the performance that would have been given right there. Hell, even look at how Mark is reacting in the real world.
Yes.
To not getting to work with Harrison on screen.
Absolutely.
I mean, so you look at his reaction in the real world and think about how that would translate into his performance.
Right. You're talking about the potential performance that could have been and the missed opportunity that it was. I'm totally with you.
I mean, because you read this and you're like, wow, he would have. I mean, there would have been some like realism to that, just because.
Yeah, there would have been
he's disappointed
emotion.
about not getting to work with him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, real emotion in there that he was actually feeling. Totally.
And not only that, but you see his connection, like, to his character and how his character feels about the other characters on screen. He gets this.
Right.
You know, he feels this. So, yeah, I think that was that scene is kind of a swing and a miss.
Yeah. Yeah, totally agree.
So, he continues, of course, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you say? He talks and talks and talks. But yeah, we're not mad at him for it.
No, not at all.
So he said the second thing was that they killed me off. I thought, oh, okay. You should push my death off to the last one. That's what I was hoping when I came back. No cameos and a run of the trilogy contract. Did I get any of those things? Because as far as I'm concerned, at the end of 7 is really the beginning of 8. I got one movie. They totally hornswoggled me.
Yeah. I get the impression that he thought he was going to have a much larger role in these 3 films. So,
well, he's not the only one, once again.
Yeah.
You know, we expected much more Luke Skywalker.
Oh, totally.
And this is not saying that we didn't enjoy the time that Rey has on screen or Kylo or, you know, anybody.
No, and in fact, you know, and Mark says it as well. I'm not going to read from the article here, but I'm paraphrasing. He says this trilogy is about the new characters. And I totally agree, it is. But we do have these characters that are like so entrenched in you know, all these decades of, you know, what we know and love. I mean, need to handle them with, you know, a lot of reverence, I guess. I don't know. I just.
Yeah. So I think about the prequels. Okay.
Right.
And how the prequels were done. Luke Skywalker and his presence in the prequels is literally one scene in the end of the last one. You know, you see Luke and Leia as babies.
Right.
Right. But the entire story leading up to that helps forge Luke's story as well as Anakin's.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the whole Skywalker storyline is weaved in throughout the entirety of the first 6 films. And it's really the centerpiece is around this family.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, in the sequels, I feel less and less like it's a Skywalker story.
It doesn't feel as much like it, that's for sure.
Which is fine, but don't tout it as the Skywalker side.
Right.
You know, I guess I would need a little more Kylo Ren.
Yeah, at least thus far, that's what we're led to believe. Because, you know, it's the last Skywalker we got.
I mean, unless Rey ends up being a Skywalker somehow.
Which is why I'm still hoping. Honestly. So, I think really, I think that would do a lot to, I don't know, bring back, turn people away from the I don't know, the bad vibes they got off of episode 8. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think that would bring a lot of people back around.
Yeah. And so, you know, one thing that we tend to do, and it's probably not for the best for us, you know, is we always tout it as, oh, this one's Anakin's movie, or this one's Luke's movie, or this one's Leia's movie. You know, we kind of assign what we see as the lead character in the film, right?
Right.
Like the focus of the film. And I really thought with episode 8 that it was going to be either Luke's story, right? This is going to be Luke's movie.
And it kind of was.
In a way.
In a way.
But the other thing I thought is it was really going to be Kylo's movie. This is going to be where we really see the ins and outs of Kylo Ren.
Right. And we really didn't get that.
No, we got a lot.
Yeah, we got a lot, okay.
But he was really less the focus than I thought he would be.
Right. Yeah, we didn't get the deep down dirty substance of that, right? We just got the, I don't know, more of the, I don't know, kid that gets enraged about stuff, I guess.
And, you know, the one thing that was always said is that episode 9 was really going to be Leia's movie, right?
Yes.
And I think that is going to be a little bit of a downer. That's not going to be, you know, Leia's movie.
Right.
Because the way this sequel trilogy has really unfolded is the tragedy of that part of the family, right? Han, Leia, Kylo.
Right.
Ben.
Yep.
And unfortunately, it's not going to be able to really shape out that way. And I think that really does suck, you know?
Yeah. I mean, we don't know what footage they have that they're going to be using for Carrie, but
I'm gonna go out on a limb though and say that they're not going to be able to make this Leia's movie.
I agree.
Using that footage.
I agree. I think it's going to be, you know, something of substance, but not as in depth as we would have had if she were still with us.
Right. But I mean, so far it's been the Rey show.
Yeah.
And
absolutely, totally.
That's fine. But you really probably should have marketed it that way.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, hell, for the marketing for the first movie, we thought Finn was going to be the Jedi.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there was all kinds of pictures and posters of him holding that lightsaber. It was like, wow, okay.
So that was like, I'm not gonna lie, it was almost kind of a downer too. Like, oh, I thought he was gonna get to be the Jedi.
Right.
Like, and I saw how excited he was in that video when he lit the lightsaber.
Oh yeah.
You know, when he did his reaction video to the trailer.
Right.
I was like, man, this guy's happy to be a Jedi.
Well.
Like, ah, crap, he's not a Jedi. But yeah, I don't know. It's definitely been a wild ride, and I cannot wait to see how it all shapes out.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's been a ride, and we're right there with Mark. You know, it's been a ride of expectations that really haven't come to pass. Not
Right.
that what we've got is bad, because I don't think the vast majority of us think it's like bad. You know, there are a lot of people that do.
Right. Yeah. I will say it's a significant portion of the fan base. There are those of us, I think we've gone on record lots of times saying we're going to kind of withhold judgment on episode 8 until we see episode 9, because it can inform us on episode 8.
Right.
So
That's how middle chapters work, right?
there is that, you know, and I fall firmly into that camp. And, you know, but I will say I am not like gushing over episode 8. You know, you can go back and listen to this show. My reaction immediately following seeing episode 8 was, I'm not sure what I think about that movie. So, you know, and then as time wore on, it's grown on me, and as time has worn on longer, it's like, you know, maybe I was being a little too easy on it. So I'm not sure, but I'm still going to wait for episode 9 at this point.
Right. Well, I guess if anybody wants to go after anybody on this show for being the episode 8 cheerleader, that's me.
Right. Yeah.
You know, because I mean, there were a ton of things I liked about episode 8. There were things
Sure.
I didn't like, just like everyone. But for me, there were a ton of things I did like.
Right.
So,
Well, I think, you know, okay, so I think we need to move on into this article here, because something that Mark says kind of plays right into what we're saying here. He says, I was once describing Star Wars fans, and I said they're passionate, they're opinionated, and they feel a sense of ownership because they've invested so much time in these characters and these stories. And I realized I was describing myself.
welcome to the club. Buddy.
It can get you into trouble because I don't control the storylines. I'm sort of like a musician. I read the music, I try to play it to the best of my ability. That doesn't necessarily mean I like the tune, but that's not my job. So,
Tell you what, I really like that analogy,
right,
because as a musician, and I'm sure you're with me on this one,
right,
I've played plenty of tunes I don't like.
exactly.
I've done that plenty of times, but you know what? I go out there and jam like I love it.
Exactly. So I think that's kind of where Mark's been for a lot of this sequel trilogy. You know, we'll see where things go and how they play out for episode 9, but I think for the first 2/3, he's been kind of, you know, just doing his job.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll tell you what. For his, and I don't want to say dislike, but for the stuff that he has been vocal about not really being a huge fan of, tell you what, he sure brought out a damn good performance.
Oh, absolutely.
For not being in love with it.
Right.
So definitely speaks to his professionalism.
Right. Well, that's for sure. I mean, you know, I don't know. There's been a lot. I want to move on to one other point in this thing, and then I guess we can move on. But there's been a lot said about Rian Johnson and how he's handled the movie and the story and all of that. And this is one thing that, for me, is kind of, this is where I reading this, I had that really moment, because, it kind of bothered me. So, this is Mark talking about a scene, a scene we'll all recognize in The Last Jedi, and how Ryan handled it. He says, "They had me walking by 3PO, not even acknowledging him. I said, I can't do that." And he goes on to say, Ryan said, "Okay, go over there and do whatever." So I went over and I did whatever. They say it in the script, forget the past, kill it if you have to. And they're doing a pretty good job.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Shots.
That's a bold statement there.
That's a shot, dude.
But, well, what really got me about that was we all hold the whole Star Wars franchise with such reverence, right? It has played such a huge part of our lives. And it really bothers me to hear that someone making new Star Wars would have that kind of attitude towards how a shot should be done. Okay, go over there and do whatever. And maybe that's a small snippet that's being taken out of context, but I really get the impression that Mark was feeling a lot the same way I'm feeling about the way he said this. So I'm thinking, man, how can you be directing a Star Wars movie and say, go do whatever? Because,
well, I mean, there's got to be a little bit of that, letting the actors ad lib a little bit. That's some of your best stuff.
Sure. And George has been noted as saying, look, we're just making a movie here. Okay. But there's always been the attention to detail for George. We're just making a movie. Let's get the scene shot. But he has a plan.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And for me, when Luke walked by 3PO and gave him that little wink,
mm-hmm.
It meant something to me watching the film.
Yeah, but so, I mean, just the positive angle on this, though, how much better does it make you feel about that scene that was a Mark Hamill ad-lib?
Well, yeah.
I mean, that is what Mark came up with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was good.
It was good.
I mean, it was, for as insignificant of a action, right?
Yep.
It was very significant in the story.
So for me, when I hear Mark a couple years back or whatever it was say, I talked to Ryan and I said, Luke wouldn't do that. And Ryan said, this is what Luke's going to do now. I don't know. I feel like maybe a little more attention could have been paid to what Mark thought about things, because there's really nobody that knows the character better.
Oh, he nailed it right there. That moment with 3PO, that was a Luke Skywalker moment.
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah.
Well, here's hoping to episode 9 is going to make us all feel better about the sequel trilogy. How's that?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in agreement. I really hope episode 9 takes all this that's been teed up and knocks it out the park.
Absolutely.
Have something to add to the conversation? Or you just want to let us know how we're doing? Email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best place to get in on the action. But if social media is a little more to your liking, @TheWarsAndMore on Twitter is always a good place to interact with us. And we're also on Facebook, facebook.com/TheWarsAndMore. And of course, your portal to this and everything else, The Wars and More, is thewarsandmore.com.
All right, so we're gonna take a break from Luke Skywalker for a moment, and I really mean a moment. Like, we're gonna get back to it this episode. So Galaxy's Edge, you get to see any of this stuff, Doug?
Yeah, some of it. There's some pretty cool things that we're going to be experiencing there.
And okay, so right out the gate, I was gonna save this for like last because save the best for last.
Yeah,
but
might as well
right
open
out the
with
gate.
It. Yeah,
the animatronic Hondo Anaka.
Yep, this thing is awesome. I don't know what else to say. It's like really cool.
Well, the funny thing is like the first time I saw it, you know how when you're scrolling through your feed, the videos like play with no sound?
Right, yeah.
Well, the video was like in the middle.
Okay.
And I just saw the Hondo.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, that is a great costume.
Yeah.
So I click on the video and I watch it, and I got to see it from the beginning. I'm like, holy crap, that's not a costume? That's a robot?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was the other thing I was going to say about this is that, you get to see the insides, like the guts, the moving working parts. Reminded me of
droid, dude.
Reminded me of 3PO in episode 1. Yeah.
It is a droid.
Totally.
I mean, it just looks awesome. And I can't be more excited about it because I love Hondo.
Absolutely. So this is going to be part of the Smuggler's Run ride then, right?
I would assume.
I think that's what I heard here. Yeah.
Because Hondo's heavily featured in that experience.
Right.
So you're doing a job for him.
Yeah. So
I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be, every little bit. That's, we talk about attention to detail and everything, but that one right there is going to be an in your face, just, I don't know, big call out to Clone Wars, Rebels, that'll be cool.
Yeah, if you don't know what we're talking about and you haven't seen this, just go look up the animatronic Hondo Anaka for Galaxy's Edge. It is absolutely stunning.
Yes.
If you needed a reason to get excited, I can't think of a better reason than Hondo.
Right.
And if you don't know Hondo, you need to go back and watch the Clone Wars and Rebels and treat yourself to Hondo Anaka because the character is just a blast.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that is just so cool, man. And so the costumes. You see the costumes?
Oh, yeah.
They've been working on for all the cast members?
Yep.
I mean, I almost feel like you're going to have to cosplay to go to this park.
I know. Yeah, it's going to be something else, that's for sure.
I mean, it really seems like they're gonna put you in the position where you can go in there and play Star Wars. You're not just going to a theme park.
Right.
You're going to get to go in and play Star Wars on a scale that rivals childhood imagination.
I was just going to say, yeah, there's not going to be much left to your imagination for this. You know, you're going to be in it. Totally.
I mean, that's been the bill of sale, right? Like,
Absolutely.
so these sneak peeks, they're really selling that. So I really hope it lives up.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know how it couldn't. Like, this stuff looks.
Yeah. It's
and
amazing.
not only that, but they're going to have tasty beverages.
Yeah.
So they announced some of the names for some of the beverages that you'll be able to get your hands on when you're down there.
Okay.
So the alcohol, the ones containing alcohol.
The important ones. Got it.
Yeah. So you got Besbin Fizz.
Uh-huh.
This one sounds interesting because I'm guessing I know what this is. Bloody Rancor.
Okay.
That's going to be your Bloody Mary.
Right.
So you got Dagobah Slug Slinger.
Sounds
Fuzzy-
tasty.
Right? Fuzzy Tauntaun.
Wow. Does it only smell bad on the outside, or?
Oh, man. I would think it'd have to smell even worse on the inside, right? So then you got Jedi Mind Trick. Sounds dangerous.
Yes. Yes, it does.
You're not going to be able to control yourself after that one.
It's like a truth serum.
Yeah. Jet Juice.
Coaxium.
Yeah. The Outer Rim.
Okay.
Spear and Calf. So there's your Irish coffee.
Right on. Ah, yes. Yes. I like it.
You got the T16 Skyhopper
Okay.
and Yub Nub.
Oh, man.
I was looking at all these ones, like, oh, I'm gonna get that one. I'm gonna get that one, and I got to Yub Nub. I was like, oh, I'm totally getting Yub Nub.
So do they have like food pairings for these? Like for the Yub Nub, do you have like eat human or
They didn't put any food pairings in for these,
roast Wookiee?
but
Hey, they were trying to eat Han and Chewie. That's all I'm saying. This
right.
and Luke.
But there will also be some non-alcoholic offerings.
Oh, okay.
So, and a lot of these sound cool too. So you got Black Spire Brew,
Okay.
Blue Bantha,
Okay.
Carbon Freeze, Cliff Dweller, Hyperdrive Punch It, Jabba Juice, Mugen Tea, and Taurine Tea.
Wow.
So, pretty neat.
Yeah.
Like
that's
the names.
Cool. Yeah. Well,
So it's definitely sounding like a good time. And they go on to list a bunch of food and stuff like that. Let's see. Like they got like the fried Andorian tip yip.
okay.
That's a chicken dish with roasted vegetable mash and herb gravy.
Okay.
So I don't want to go through all these because
Yeah. Yeah. Totally get it.
time constraints here, but it's looking good. Looking
Right
good.
on.
You got the Felucian garden spread.
Oh, that makes sense. That's funny. I like that. Felicia's got lots of big plants. That's good.
And then, of course, the other things that you'll be able to, taste: blue milk
Of course.
and green milk.
Of course. Yes.
See, the green milk that kind of bothers me a little bit because they don't leave much to the imagination on how you get that one.
Right. Yeah. The blue milk. Yeah. That's in the Tupperware container there.
Right? Yeah, you don't actually see it from the source.
Yeah. Both a delicacy enjoyed by Luke Skywalker, though. That's,
Yeah. So, but it's definitely going to be something to try, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, this sounds fun. This, like, every single one of those names is just, they're just fun.
Oh, totally.
So definitely looking forward to Galaxy's Edge. This is, can we book yet?
You know, it's, man, with every new thing that trickles out for us from Galaxy's Edge, it just gets me more and more excited. So again, I'm not sure that this year is going to be the year for me, but you know, hopefully next year will.
Yeah, and plus we're Michiganders, so
Yeah.
we should probably go in the wintertime.
Yeah, exactly.
Just gets too darn cold up here.
Yeah, when it's cold here, that's when you go somewhere warm.
Yeah. So, all right. Celebration. If you haven't got your tickets yet, I mean, there's still Monday. They're still really pushing that.
Right.
I think everybody's kind of like, Monday, I got to go back to work.
Right.
So Monday's been a tough sell, but that's all that's left. So if you want to go and you haven't got tickets yet, options are limited. But they announced some new guests. Of course, this is the weekly trend now.
Right.
So Riz Ahmed, who played Bodhi Rook,
Cool.
Paul Bettany,
Ooh.
and Hermione Corfield.
Right on.
So Hermione Corfield played, was it Tally?
Yes, some Resistance pilot. That much I can say. It might have been, but yes.
See, the name threw me because for some reason I thought her name was Talia,
Oh, okay.
but it's Taliesin Lintra. That's her character name.
Okay, so yes.
She was the A-wing pilot
Yep.
in the. So I knew the character. I knew the actress.
Right. Yeah,
But-
during the bomber run.
I thought the name was different for some reason.
Gotcha.
But very cool. I mean, that's some heavy hitters,
Yeah, totally.
and that's where we're at now. It's going to be, the rumor is now too that Oscar Isaac's going to be there because apparently he told someone, and they decided to go right to Twitter
Oh.
and say, "Yeah, Oscar Isaac just told me he's going to Star Wars Celebration."
Yeah, they got to watch who they say stuff to now.
Yeah, some people can't wait to put it on the internet,
Yeah, exactly.
which I wish someone would do with the title.
Yeah. Keep wishing, buddy.
I know, right?
Yeah.
That's obvious at this point.
Right.
No one's going to make that slip. But so Celebration's got some panels coming that are really interesting. One we didn't talk about yet, and this is where they're kind of forcing my hand. I wasn't actually going to go on Monday.
Okay.
Like, I got 5-day tickets, but I was like, Monday's usually closing ceremonies, things like that. We'll go do some things about Chicago, right?
Right.
They got a kick-ass aquarium.
Right.
They got some other museums and stuff like that I could go check out.
Yep.
And then they announced the 20th anniversary Phantom Menace panel.
Ah, yes.
I'm like, oh, come on.
Well,
So that's special to me because the Phantom Menace was the first Star Wars movie I got to see in theaters.
sure. Absolutely. And I guess that's the reason why they did that, right? I mean, you're adding more days to Celebration. It's got to be worthwhile, right?
Yeah.
And that totally is.
So, I mean, it's a growing contingent now that, like, their first Star Wars experience was the prequels.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because people are watching them in order now, even new fans.
Sure.
So they're coming in, they're starting with episode 1 and they're going on. So their first experience with Star Wars is the Phantom Menace.
Right.
So I'm part of a growing contingent, Doug.
Awesome.
Now, granted, that's the first one I saw in theaters, not the first one I saw.
Yeah, of course. But,
But that first time for anything in Star Wars, that's special,
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's ramping up. And they announced 3 animation panels. So they've got one for Rebels, they've got one for Resistance, and they've got one for the Clone Wars.
Wow. You know what that means?
What's that mean?
That means Dave Filoni's going to be a busy guy at Celebration.
Oh, yeah. He's going to be running from stage to stage. Because he's got a Mandalorian panel probably to go to.
Uh-huh.
So he's always been busy at Celebration, but I have a feeling he's going to think this year is ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, that's fine with me. I love going to panels that Dave Filoni's involved in.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I went to the, so even one where Dave Filoni's not like the center of the panel.
Right.
He did a Heroines of Star Wars panel.
Right.
He was kind of one of the guests on that panel, and that was a blast because it was him and Tia Serkar, Ashley Eckstein, Amy Ratcliffe. It was just a fun group.
Yep.
And then they brought out Daisy Ridley. She was like the surprise guest on that panel.
Right. I remember seeing that online. Yeah, that was awesome.
And I remember when the 3 of them got their the Forces of Destiny dolls, right?
Yep.
And Dave Filoni's like, what? Where's the one with the cowboy hat? Like,
right.
Can you make a little director with a cowboy hat? So yeah, he's just a blast, and he interacts with everybody so well, and everybody likes him so much. So I've never seen someone on stage with Dave Filoni that's like, that's Dave Filoni.
Right. Yeah, he's definitely a personality on stage as well as behind the camera.
Just a likable guy.
Totally.
So, yep. So Celebration coming up fast. And apparently that's where we're going to get all our Star Wars news.
Yeah.
Anywhere else. Which is fine. I mean, I'm going to get my money's worth, right?
That's right.
So, all right. So back to Luke Skywalker.
Back to Luke Skywalker.
So there's a rumor going around that, and this is not, let's take all this with a pinch of salt, right? Because
absolutely,
this is not the first time that we've heard that George Lucas is coming in to fix something.
What? George Lucas is coming in to fix something?
Yeah, apparently. Was that kind of anticlimactic?
Well, no. But
so,
yeah, go ahead.
Your thoughts. George coming in to fix Luke Skywalker. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, this is okay. So this is a leak of some sort, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to I'm reading from express.co.uk. And it says, the leak said George Lucas was involved in numerous sequences to fine-tune some of the legacy characters and their interactions with some of the sequel trilogy characters. George Lucas directed and guided J.J. Abrams with Mark Hamill in exactly how the character of Luke Skywalker should be done. Okay, this is the leak. Now, I think it's a crafty title for the article to say he's coming in to fix Luke Skywalker. Okay.
Yes.
My
sentiment exactly.
But would I welcome George Lucas's input on the direction of Luke Skywalker in Episode 9?
Oh, come on. What the
God,
hell does
yes. It's shut up. Yes. Yes, I would. So I don't think that could be a bad thing in any way possible. That would be nothing but good as far as I'm concerned. I'm not thinking that, JJ would be doing anything wrong, but my God, when you can bring the creator himself in, yeah, do it. I mean, what else can you say? I think if this is like polar opposite of what we were talking about earlier with directing Luke Skywalker, okay? When George is in the room, right? We heard this from Ron Howard, and he said, I think Han would have said it like this or said this or whatever. And what's Ron Howard's reaction? All right, hey, we're going to do it like this. There is no question. That, and that's kind of what I was getting at earlier with talking about that direction of Luke Skywalker. Go over there and do whatever. George doesn't say go over there and do whatever. George says it'll be like this. He has a direction that he wants.
Mark's response there, that whole I can't do that, that is George coming through.
Yeah, absolutely.
Luke wouldn't do that.
Right. That's exactly right. I couldn't agree with you more because
Luke wouldn't just walk by 3PO. Are you kidding me?
Exactly. Yep. So any input that George Lucas could have in this, and there is, let's see here. It says here he will also be involved in some of the reshoots and editing techniques he will be overseeing during the reshoots in April and post-production, which is set to end all the way in September and into October this year. So if George is going to have some influence on any of that stuff or just some guidance, I'm all for it. And
okay,
this is the culmination of all 9 films. So why wouldn't you bring in George? If he's willing to do it, bring him in. This might not be the story he had originally laid out in his mind, but if there's anybody who can come in and say, it would feel more like Star Wars if we did it like this, then you do it like that.
Okay. So obviously, yeah, we'd welcome this, and this is what we would want. But what do you think about the legitimacy of this as this is what's going on? Because we've heard this time and time. We heard it during episode 7. We heard it during episode 8. Like, George is coming in to do this. Do you think this is happening?
I think,
is it a pipe dream?
Okay, so early on, right, we heard the stories of George being upset that, they took his story treatments and just kind of chucked them out the window and they made their own story. And he was upset about that. And there's a little, maybe a little animosity, a little rift. I'm at the point now where I'm thinking time heals all wounds, right? And, he might be more inclined to help out now than he was before. I mean, we witnessed it with him going to the set of Solo and participating briefly. So I look at that as a good sign that he could have some more involvement with this.
Okay.
How true it is, I don't know. But, here's to hoping.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm with you there. Like, I'd welcome any George Lucas input because it's George Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
6 films and an animated series came from George.
Right.
So, yeah. Nobody knows it better.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, George did the OT the way he did it for a reason, right? With the other people directing.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay, so that was a case there, though, that, yes, he had these other directors, but he was still...
Right.
He was making sure that they were executing his vision.
Right.
I can only believe that if he is available, JJ would welcome his guidance on this.
Well, I think JJ said as much in the filming of The Force Awakens.
So
he said he'd be open to input from George. So
right,
which I would hope so.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. As far as legitimacy, I don't know. I'm with you there. It's who knows. It's been a funny relationship.
Right.
A lot of the speculation has just been, fans really wanting George back.
Yeah.
It's funny because a lot of these people wanted George gone. So
yeah, there was definitely plenty that wanted George gone. And yeah, I would say there's probably a lot of those same people that want him back now. So, and I was never one that wanted him gone. When he sold Lucasfilm, I was still hoping that he would play some role in the films of the future. So I like I said, I just, here's to hoping, how legitimate this rumor is, I don't know, but I hope there's some validity to it.
All right. I'm on board with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we've reached that point, right?
I think we have. Yeah.
We should probably talk about Resistance. So I gotta share this. This was funny to me. So I sat down to watch this, and I just, clicked through, select it. I saw Descent, and I totally read this word wrong. Like, I saw letters there that weren't there.
Okay.
Right? I thought this was like dissent. Like, oh, there's going to be some dissent against the First Order.
Right.
No, this is actually like, going down. Like, they're descending into the water.
Right.
So I was like, oh, wow. I don't know how I misread that. But to me, it's funny.
Yeah, absolutely. It is kind of like one of those double meaning things, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the intent here.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was funny that was the way I read it. So before I even get into it, that's the way I read it. But yeah, so what do you think, man? We're ramping up.
We are ramping up, and I would have to say, Kaz has been outed by the First Order. They are straight up calling him as a Resistance spy now. Not only him, but everyone who knows him, basically. And unfortunately for Tam and Niku, they're kind of like, Niku's just finding out about Kaz's, being a spy and
in a hilarious way.
In a hilarious way, yes, of course. What isn't done in a hilarious way with Niku? But Tam, she was clueless. And I got a feeling this is where, the double meaning of the title here is kind of, when she finds out that everything that Kaz has been accused of is true and it's all been kept from her, that's going to be, not good. Even for Yeager's part in that, or Yeager's part in that, where, that's someone she's been working with longer than, Kaz has been around.
Yeah, she acts like there's no way that Yeager and Niku and like, there's no way they're spies.
Right.
And she's right, they're not. But Yeager's complicit.
Exactly. Yeah, he knew about it.
I'm really interested to see what effect that has on her.
Right.
I had this whole notion that Tam was the, informant for the First Order.
Right.
After last week's episode. And I gotta say, I'm happy she's not.
Yep, she's not, but I could, you know what? I could almost see where she becomes something like that moving forward. Maybe, maybe the First Order lets Kaz rescue her, but now she's informing the First Order on Kaz. I could see something like that happening.
I don't know. I kind of got the impression that she's torn.
Yeah, but I got a feeling that once she finds out the truth about Kaz, which she did find out some of the truth, right? Yep. How he's a resistance pilot and things like that. I think she's going to, she might flip. Well, I mean, it wouldn't really be a flip, would it?
No, I mean, she wasn't on his side to begin with.
True.
Yeah, I hope she don't flip. I really hope she ends up on the side of the resistance here.
Right.
But yeah, I guess I could see that as a possibility. Like, I could see her like kind of flipping twice here.
Yeah.
Going out there, ended up informing the First Order, helping them out.
Yeah, until she
realizing
sees
how bad they really are.
Yes, until she sees how nefarious they are, yes.
Which, honestly, I think she's going to realize how nefarious they are before that with Yeager, now that Yeager's been captured.
Right.
So, I have a feeling things are going to get real bad for Yeager here.
Yeah, so do I.
Like, there's going to be a completely different interrogation method here.
Yeah. In a way, it wouldn't surprise me if Yeager disappeared and we may never see his character again.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. That'd be a rough one. But it would make for interesting dynamic moving forward where you'd almost have this resistance against the First Order aboard the Colossus, this let's do it for Yeager kind of attitude,
Well, not only that, but man, I feel like next week, Kaz's whole family is in the Hosnian system.
Right.
And that is about to blow up.
Yep.
Literally.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Kaz's enthusiasm to fight against the First Order is about to be turned up to 11.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no doubt.
And I have a feeling that it's probably next week.
I could see that. And yeah, you're right. When that happens, Yeah, it's going to be watch out because.
Which, honestly, that is probably going to be. So you'll probably see, like you said, T.W.A.M being cooperative with the First Order at first.
Right.
And the absolute destruction of the Hosnian system is probably going to flip that.
I could see that. I mean, we were just set up for that with this episode, right? T.W.A.M was just informed that Kaz's family is from the Hosnian system, a prominent family from there, and she finds out, because I'm sure she's going to get to see Hux's holovid just like everyone else. We got a sneak peek of that in the mid-season trailer. So once she sees that, today will be the end of the Republic, yeah, that could sway her back. That's for sure.
Yeah, because I anticipate that they're going to demonstrate this to the entire. So that holofeed,
yeah,
that's going to be broadcast to the entire
galaxy.
Colossus.
Oh, yeah,
the entire galaxy that the First Order has a reach in.
Yes,
but the Colossus, for the interest of this episode, to show the might of the First Order,
right,
and to try and instill that fear.
Yes,
because much like Tarkin, when picking a system to demonstrate the station, he said that Dantooine was far too remote.
Yep.
So he decided Alderaan was a better target.
Yep.
And that demonstration was for one purpose: bow to the Empire, or this will happen.
Exactly.
And that's going to be the same method used by the First Order.
Yep.
This is going to be a bow to the First Order, or this will happen.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The rest of the galaxy doesn't need to know that Starkiller Base was destroyed, but, I'm
right.
sure they definitely broadcast the might of their super weapon.
Mm-hmm. Which we find out doesn't really weaken the First Order all that much.
Right. But, that stuff aside, we did mention Yeager got captured, right? And I like how a lot of these characters that we were introduced to earlier in season are coming back to help, Kaz and friends later on here. We've got, the turtle engineers and the kids that Kaz helped hide from the First Order earlier. They're coming back.
Now they're hiding him.
Right, and they're helping with getting the what do you call it? The whatever, the block on messaging. I forget what it was called.
Call it communications umbrella or something.
Yeah,
like that.
communications. Yeah. Yeah, First Order had a block on all communications going out. So they had to disable that. Hence the whole descent thing you were talking about. They had to sink the Colossus to the point where they could actually swim up to the communications tower, disable it, and get a message out to Leia, who gets a message back just to let Kaz know that she cannot afford any help to come aid the Colossus. So, I mean, in a one short episode, they did a pretty good job of showing or setting up this is going to be one small pocket of resistance in the galaxy all on its own. And,
which, with what happens in The Last Jedi, this is important.
Yes.
with the what seemed like destruction of the resistance, the pockets of resistance are going to be important.
Exactly.
Because that's what's going to help build the new resistance.
Yes, I think we are sowing the seeds here of kind of the in the same manner that the rebellion was formed, right? It's a very decentralized culmination of a lot of different resistances or rebels that finally coalesce and come together against the Empire, or in this case the First Order, which I think we might see in some of in episode 9. So
Yep, this is setting the stage.
Definitely cool in that aspect right there.
Yeah, I mean, this is where the meat of the show is starting to show.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely. Even, even the parts that were kind of funny, where Kaz is trying to explain to Niku that he is the spy, he's not the clumsy, fumbling around idiot that he was, when this thing first started.
Oh no,
Definitely a different Kaz. And by the end of this episode,
yeah, the look on Kaz's face at the end,
yeah,
it's a new Kaz
for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely we've said this for really the past few weeks. It's definitely ramping up.
Oh yeah,
and man, I'm so excited. It's another episode to get to the end of, and I'm like, oh come on. That's what I like.
Absolutely.
I like being thirsty for more.
Yeah, totally.
So, all right. Well, if you have anything to add, you can always email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. It's the best way to get a hold of us. We're on social media at The Wars and More on Twitter, facebook.com/thewarsandmore. You can find all of that and all the ways to find the show over at thewarsandmore.com. Any final thoughts this week, Doug?
No, I think that about covers it.
All right. We will talk next week.